What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Decompressed. So glad that you decided to join me today. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 things that I wish that I would have known when I first started in the business that I think would have really gave me an edge in my business today. So with that being said, welcome to Decompressed. Tip number 1, you don't need all of the most expensive and fancy gear that's on the market. And trust me, there's a lot of it. And especially at the very beginning, it is so tempting to drop all kinds of money on a bunch of stuff that you just don't need. First of all, you probably are not even 100% sure what avenue you want to go down with photography. So what I would encourage you to do is use the camera that you've got, use the kit lens that you've got. Maybe you have already bought another lens, and that's cool. Learn how to master photography first, or at least the fundamentals. Learn how aperture and ISO and shutter speed work and how they harmonize together. Learn all of these things before you go and start dropping a bunch of money on gear that you don't need. Just learn the basics. Tip number 2, find your niche. Now, what I mean by that, there's so many different avenues of photography that you can go down. And I would encourage you to find one that you're most passionate about. That doesn't mean that down the road that you can't branch off and start working on some different things. In my business right now, I'm working on some different things other than just weddings. I'm primarily a wedding photographer, but I'm becoming a hybrid shooter where I'm starting to do video also, and I'm starting to do some commercial work also. But when I first started out, I had to try to find my niche. And so I was just doing any kind of work that would come up, whether it been real estate, landscape, taking hikes through the mountains, seeing if that was something that I love to do, weddings if it come up, family sessions, newborn sessions. I tried all of these different things and finally realized that I was most passionate about weddings and just working with people on the biggest day of their lives. That was really awesome for me. But I've got friends of mine that are awesome photographers that absolutely hate doing weddings. It's just not their thing, and that's fine. But that's why I say find your niche. Find what you can be passionate about, because you don't want to burn out. And you want to be known for one specific type of photography. It will be so hard for you to be known as, oh man, this guy is the most awesome newborn photographer, and he's the most awesome real estate photographer and the most awesome landscape photographer. You are so much more likely to get your name out there and be more successful if you have one niche and you stick to it. And at least for the first little while, until you've started growing your business, then you can start branching out and looking at some other avenues. But at first, I would encourage you just to find something that you can be passionate about, that you're not going to burn out on. And that's another thing that goes back to tip number 1 with not buying all this fancy gear. Until you know what your niche is, it really makes no sense to go out and invest money in all this gear, because if you're going to be a landscape or a real estate photographer, you're going to need more wide angle lenses. And if you're a wedding or portraiture photographer, you're going to need some really nice primes or maybe some telephoto. It's really just going to depend. And so, if I'm a real estate or landscape photographer, I'm not going to need the same kind of gear. And there's so much gear out there, you don't want to just start dumping money on just such a wide variety of stuff. I was guilty of this when I first started. And then I even invested. I had like 8 Nikon lenses, good lenses, not cheap lenses. I mean, high-end professional lenses. I thought that I had to have all of this stuff. And then I come to realize that I was only using like 2 of them. And so now in my business, I'm only shooting with 2 lenses right now. I shoot with a Sony 24mm 1.4 G Master and an 85mm 1.4 G Master. I actually just picked up a 135 G Master, but it's not something that I absolutely had to have. It was just something that now I'm at a spot in my business where I'm trying to give myself a creative edge, and I think that 135 focal length is going to be really awesome. And on this channel, we're also going to do some gear reviews. We're going to dive into some stuff like that later, and I hope that you'll tune in. And while I'm speaking on that, if you're liking this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you're you know when all the new videos are coming out. I'm trying to put out one a week right now. It's really hard because I'm still working a full-time job. I'm an electrician by trade, but I'm pursuing this thing as a career, and that's one thing that one reason why I wanted to go ahead and start making videos now is because not only am I going to be doing this stuff and giving you all what's been given to me as far as education and guidance, but I also want you to be here for the journey. And so you can grow as I grow, and I can give you tips along the way. And so if you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe, tell somebody about it, and interact with me. You know, drop some comments. Let me know what you think. And so let's start some conversation. If there's like some gear that you want reviewed or a topic that you want to talk about, you know, let me know. Let's make it happen. So back on topic. So tip number 2, find your niche. Sorry for the rant. So tip number 2, find your niche. And in doing so is going to help you with tip number 1 and not spending all kinds of just money when you don't need to. Tip number 3, I would say for me that tip number 3 would be ask people to do work. Don't be afraid to go out and be like, hey, can I take some family pictures for you? And you might even start out with your own family, your own friends. Just be like, hey, can I take some pictures? You know, I won't even charge you anything. I'm trying to build a portfolio, and I really want to see if like family photography is something that I'm really interested in, or find a realtor and go to a realtor and be like, hey, do you need anybody to take some pictures of some houses for you to list? I'll do the first 1 or 2 for free. And if you like it, we'll go on from there. And then, so when I first started, I was doing all these things, like I said, and I tried a little bit of everything and fell in love with weddings. But along the way, I learned all kinds of things. It was so helpful. I learned so many different things about different avenues of photography. Like real estate photography is really awesome because it's always different lighting scenarios, different rooms, different colors, different lighting scenarios. So when you go through a house to take pictures of different rooms, every room that you go in will be a different lighting scenario, but you have to make them all look the same. And so, you know, real estate photography was a huge challenge, and something that I think that I became pretty decent at, but it just wasn't something that I was passionate about. And so tip number 3 is don't be afraid to ask people to do work. And like I said, this moves on into tip number 4. You have to work for free, unfortunately, and it's really unpopular and not like the favorite thing to think about, that you're doing all this work and investing all this time, and a lot of times you're investing money up front and not getting any return on it. And if you really want to make it in this industry, it's kind of what it's going to take. You know, photography and videography is a totally flooded market. And so you've got to really do everything that you can to start getting your name out there. And sometimes it's going to take free work because you've got to build a portfolio. And so I would encourage you to work for free, at least for the first little bit. And this tip number 4 is going to carry on into tip number 5. And tip number 5 is know your worth. So, and what I mean by that is, yes, you're going to work for free for a little while, like I said in tip 4, but that's only going to last for so long, and then you can start charging, and you can charge. And so what I mean by know your worth is, what is your time worth to you? What is your creativity worth to you? And I know at first you're going to be trying to get all these jobs that you can. You're almost going to be begging people for work. And you're hungry at first. It's something that you really want to do. You're really enjoying doing it. And I get that. I was at the same spot. But at the same time, know your worth and find your creativity. And in your creativity, you're going to start attracting clients that love your work. And there is so much freedom in that. So, and that's one thing that I love now. I'm at a spot in my business where I'm not having to go out and trying to find all of these clients, but clients are coming to me and they're like, man, we really love your work and we trust your work. And so when it comes wedding day, they just kind of let me go. Like they give me this creative freedom. And as a photographer, that is dream deal. Like that is what it's all about right there. You want that creative freedom. And so at first, you're going to do everything that you can to attract clients. But know your worth and start charging, even if it's like $25 or $30 for, you know, a 30-minute session. It's really not that much. and you're still producing work, and you're still making a little bit of money. You're building a portfolio, and then you know charging more comes. Don't get too hasty with charging more. Your portfolio, your work has to match what you're charging, but your time is valuable also. And so, what is your time worth to you? Obviously, your creativity is worth something, but what is your time worth to you? Is it worth it for you to go out and do sessions at $30 for 30 minutes? And if it's not, then, you know, don't do it. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you other than the fact that it's going to take some sacrifice at the beginning to make this work. And so that's tip number 5. And, well, there's actually one more. So here it goes. Tip number 6. Here's an added bonus. Tip number 6. Take advice. Do not be afraid to take advice, and don't be so arrogant as to think that you don't have to take advice and you can do this on your own. You can't. Don't try it. You're going to hurt yourself so much with that arrogance. And so listen to people that's been in the industry for a while. I still listen to people all the time, and I welcome their advice. I welcome your advice. If you've got something that you would like to say, some advice or some tips to give me, I would absolutely love to hear it. Drop it in the comments below. But take advice. All the advice that you're given is not going to be applicable to what you're doing right now, but a lot of it is, especially if you're new. And then the stuff that maybe you can't apply to your business now, don't just throw it out. Store it in the back of your mind, because maybe not today, maybe not a year from now, but maybe in 5 years from now, maybe your business is going to be totally different in 5 years. I promise. If you really stick with this, it's going to be totally different. And that advice that was given now might not be valid now, but in 5 years it may be. Just like the person that gave it to you, it was valid for them at that point, but it wasn't for you now. So don't throw that info out. Don't throw that advice out, and don't be so arrogant. You know, the photography and the videography community can be very, very cutthroat, and it doesn't need to be. It is so awesome when photographers collaborate together and that we give each other advice and we refer each other for work. Build an awesome community. If you don't have an awesome community of photographers, I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, and there is an awesome community of photographers that's really trying to help each other out and trying to grow off each other. If you don't have a community like that where you live and it's just straight cutthroat, be that photographer that starts a community where you try to bring each other together and grow and feed off of each other. It's going to be totally awesome for your business. I promise. It's something that you need as a photographer. You need people to feed off of, and people that are going to challenge you to do different things. And so I'm so glad that you all stopped by, checked out this video. Come back next week. I'm trying to do one video a week. It's really hard. I didn't realize how hard this YouTube thing was going to be. I appreciate your patience, and I appreciate you all sticking with me. Like I said, once again, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below, hit the like button, subscribe button, hit the bell to keep getting reminders whenever I post a new video. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for stopping by Decompressed.